Alright guys, I often get my ass chewed out in the comment section by YouTube pseudoscientist genius who like to tell me that I'm a dumbass and don't have a clue what I'm doing. Yet when you go to their channel, they have none of these things and are doing absolutely none of it. So we got a guy here. The gentleman here has showed up with no offense, I might add. He's quite offensive though. He's all over the place, knocking me down. And here is what he has to say. Essentially, he's telling me, I'm not sure where you come to the conclusion you're running 3 volts per plate gap. He obviously knows nothing about dry cells or the electrolysis process or electrolytic cells in general. He has determined that because I'm running 237 volts, which I'm not, where he got this, I don't know. I clearly said that my wall outlets have 253 volts coming out of the wall here. I don't live in his house, so I don't have his 237 volts. Okay? Now, first of all, you cannot divide the wattage by the input voltage because that's not the voltage that's passing point A to point B. So, to prove to you guys that in fact we are doing 3,000 amps at this scale, I want to show you how this works, okay? I get this a lot. This isn't the first guy who's telling me this stuff about that I'm crazy to say that this cell does 600 amps right here. I've told people that this can do up to 1,000 amps of electrolysis power. They don't understand the term Faraday or none of that. They don't know what a column is. They don't know what amperage even is, obviously, because amperage is the actual electrochemical force that's doing the work, the chemistry. The voltage means shit. It means fucking nothing. It's the amperage that does the work. The more amps, the more electrons that you have traveling to make the process take place, to allow that atom to split in half. So, let's take a look here. We have 2 plates in this cell. Okay, my cell down here that we're looking at is like a 37 plate cell. But you have point A and point B. Okay? And when you check the voltage of these 2 plates, you get like 2.5 volts in most cases. Okay? We'll say 2.5 in this particular case. And if we're doing, say, 1,500 watts from point A to point B, that is 1,500 divided by 2.5. And that gives you 600 amps of electrochemical power. 600 Faraday amps of electrolysis power. You guys need to get in a chemistry book and study Faraday and what he was all about and what he was teaching. Okay, I'm sorry if I sound agitated, guys. It's just I get this all the time. I've got a lot of electrolysis videos. So we're going to plug this damn thing in. Okay, Antifa, here we go. I'm going to turn the cell on. We're at 1,500 watts right there. I'm going to touch 2 plates. And there you go. I'm at 2.6 volts. 2.6 volts in between the plate gaps. No matter where you measure it, in between each plate, it's 2.2 volts. That means from point A to point B, the voltage is only 2.6 volts. And for you guys telling me that I don't need a radiator if I build my cell right, you know, good luck to you. I get that all the time too. I built the cell wrong. It's the wrong metal. The foam means I didn't treat my plates and all this stuff. I just get chewed so bad by these HHO guys. It's hilarious. Okay, Antifa, so I was wrong by just a little bit there, so let's redo it. 1,500 watts divided by 2.6, and we get 576.9 amps of power. Now, the way you see the world, through the eyes of Antifa, you're telling me that the actual amperage in the system is 125 volts, which I would divide 1,500 watts by. And that gives us 12 amps, dude. You mean to tell me I'm making 5 liters a minute off of 12 amps? Son of a bitch, I'm ready for a Nobel Prize for breaking over unity. Finally, it's been achieved. So, if I were you, bro, I would stop watching CNN because they're telling you it's only 12 amps when it's really 576, son. Okay, Antifa, let me put it to you this way, homeboy. You see this welder here? I'm running like 90 amps of welding power, and this thing's plugged into a 20 amp wall socket. So you've got your math bass backwards, okay? You are doing a calculation on the input power, which is 10,000 watts divided by 250 volts, okay? That gives you 40 amps of input power. That's the power that we're putting into it. But because we changed the voltage to 3, we come up with 3,333 amps of power. So this is where you're wrong. In between these two plates, you got point A and point B, okay, and it's 3 volts on this 80 plate, 81 plate cell, whatever it is. It's going to be around 3 volts. So let's not nitpick about that. So when you do the math on 3 volts from point A to point B, because 10,000 watts of power is passing through this electrolyte right here. I don't give a shit what type of HHO pseudoscience stuff's got your head all twisted up, son, but that's the case. Just sitting here during editing and realizing how petty and stupid and just wasteful this video really is. You know, the Bible teaches us that fools do not delight in wisdom, but only in telling you what is on their mind. So to think that I'm going to convince any of these people is ridiculous. And I'm instructed to not even bother. It is grasping at the wind. Okay? 10,000 watts is passing from point A to point B, from one plate to the next in this electrolysis process. 250 volts is not passing through here. Maybe through the channel, the fluid channels, there's a couple spots where there's some voltage leakage from plate to plate, but it's minimal. You can only pass about 200 watts of power max through this channel. I've done the testing with hoses. I filled hoses up full of electrolyte, hooked power up to each end, and then did ohms testing on them. So I know some stuff about these things, all right? So indeed, when I am cranking 10,000 amps into this electrolyzer, or 10,000 watts, I'm sorry, Antifa's got me frazzled, man, bad. 10,000 watts will give us about 3,000 amps of electrolysis power. Same way that plasma cutter is cutting to the tune of 45 amps when I'm only pulling 30 out of the wall. The same way this thing's welding at 90 amps to 100 amps when I'm only pulling 20 amps out of the wall. It's the voltage that changed. 120 in, 30 volts out. 250 in, 3.3 volts is the working voltage of the system. That's the brilliance of the dry cell. You don't need a transformer because it becomes an electrochemical transformer. Same way a battery works. When you got cells, you hook them up in series and you increase the voltage. That's the same thing here. If you want 250 volts, you'd have to hook them all together in series. So, there you go. Death to Antifa and everything they stand for.